Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shout out to you brothers out there feeding the flock. It's motivating. And shout out to you sisters out there listening. Quietness and meekness. Being humble. And today, I would like to help you understand, anybody who's listening that's new to this, that's first time listening to this, help you understand who are the white people that call themselves white people, that are known as Caucasian. And according to the Bible, what their nationality is. What their nationality is. We're going to start with the book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 20. No, we're going to start at 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. So Isaac entreated the Lord and his wife for his wife because she couldn't have children. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Alright. Let me read that again. And the Lord was entreated of him, Isaac, when Isaac entreated the Lord. The Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So Rebekah inquired the Lord because two children struggled together within her. So we can only imagine. We don't know because we're men. We don't know what it's like to be pregnant. And we don't know what it's like to be pregnant, so we can only imagine, because all we get is stomach aches. And stomach aches hurt. So imagine two nations of energy stretching their arms out, stretching their legs out, struggling with one another, all in her stomach. It says, verse 23, And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb. So if we get into the word nation, it said two nations are in thy womb. So two nation. I thought I had that word. Alright, let's look up the word nation. I thought I had it. Nation. Nation definition.
Nation, a large aggregate of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabiting a particular country or territory.
Right? So 2 nations are in thy womb. Right? But the other word I really want to get to is, back to verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So the word manner is the other word that I really wanted to really get into. So if we go to so 2 manner of people. I looked up the word manner, and it says 2 manner of people. They have 2 different definitions. If you can see, one of the definitions, definition number 2, they both go well with having an understanding of why the 2 nations were struggling in her womb. And the Lord said on verse 23, and 2 manner of people were struggling in her womb. So if you look in the word manner, a way in which a thing is done or happens. Here's some of the synonyms: 2 fashions of people, 2 system of people, 2 styles of people, 2 techniques of people. And when you go to the second definition, it says a person's outward bearing or way of behaving towards others. 2 manner of people were in her womb. Look at the synonyms: 2 manner of demeanors. This is number 2. Definition number 2. The first word there is demeanor. I think it's demeanor. 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 2 manner of aspects, 2 manner of attitude, 2 manner of conduct, 2 manner of behavior. So 2 manner of people are in thy womb. And shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other. So one of the people are going to be stronger than the other in her womb. One of them are going to be stronger. So we are already getting characteristics of one of them. And before they even came out, one of them. And one of the characteristics on one of them, between both of them, are going to be stronger than the other. And the older shall serve the younger. So we got to find out who the older one is, who the younger one is, and who the stronger one is, than the and who's stronger than the other. So I'm just gonna ask one question with this one. And one people shall be stronger than the other. So it's an obvious question. Who runs the basketball? Who runs the basketball entertainment? Who runs, like, who's a champion in boxing? Who's a champion? Who becomes champion in basketball? Who becomes champion in boxing? Who was that one that got real popular, real famous, real off of golf? It was like one that sprung up out of nowhere from left field, that came up out of golf. There was a time where this one player, won cereal boxes, And the elder shall serve the younger. So now we got to find out who the elder is and who the younger is. All right. So verse 24. This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. All right. And the first came out red, like all over, like an hairy garment. Alright, so the first came out red. What's some good examples of who is that today? Here's a really good example of who came out red. Really can't deny that red on his face, that blue bandana. Really, like his face, you can see the face color is like red. It's red. Goes well with the blue bandana, like, I don't know. I'm trying to be funny, but it's not coming out the way I want it to come out. So that was a great example. All right. Who came out red? Verse 25, and the first came out red. Remember, it's two nations, two nationalities. Two nations.
According to Google Books, a profound analysis of the conditions that...
No. Oh wow, this phone's acting up. Wow, really? For real? Damn. All praise Yahweh Shem Yahushai.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Nation, synonym.
Synonyms for nation, country, sovereign state, state.
You see? Two different people. Two different kingdom. Two different republic. Two different fatherland. Two different people. Two different race. Two different race. They were two different race. So one, that's just, and you may think, how is that possible? That's just Yahweh. That's just our Father. There's nothing impossible for him to do. It was possible for him to created everything. So, verse 26, it says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Right? And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Okay, cool. And then, so there was a war in the womb. So now that we know that Esau is a so-called white man, according to Scripture, we just proved that. We just proved it. You know? And the boys grew. and Esau was a cunning hunter. So let's get some examples, more example of who Esau is. The first example of who Esau is was he came out red as a hairy garment. We saw one example of redness in the skin and being hairy. Alright? So, here's another good example. When the boys grew, Esau was a cunning hunter. So what main race hunts? I know it's, let me see. Who you know go hunting? Who you know goes out and go hunting? Esau is a good example. A cunning hunter. That's a cunning hunter. Look at his skin. Still red. If you don't see red, then you're dead. Look. Cunning hunter. Esau is known for hunting deers, hunting bears, hunting whatever, you know. It's a cunning hunter. That's the characteristics of Esau. This is spiritual, you know. A man of the field. So we're going to start from the top. Verse 27. Genesis chapter 25, verse 27. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. I got a... and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. This is a good, you know, this is the best I was able to come up with of Jacob dwelling in tents. Characteristics of Jacob dwelling in tents. Hanging out with each other, fellowshipping in harmony, chilling in the crib, dwelling in tents. So that these are characteristics of the twins in Rebekah's womb. All right? So we have a, yeah, you know. Now being, you know, but so it didn't say what Jacob looked like, because Jacob looked like everyone else that was created. And how was everyone else created? It tells you that in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And the Lord gave formed man. No. And the Lord power formed man out of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So here's an example for verse 7. Because remember, back up in verse 25, it didn't give an example. It only gave an example of how one of the twins looked. Alright, and we'll go back and read that real quick. This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. and they called his name Esau. All right, they didn't give a description, a detailed description of how Jacob looked. And if you ask yourself why, because there's only one best answer in this, because he looked like everyone else. So Esau was the one that looked different from everyone else. And how did everyone else look? Going back from Genesis 25 back to Genesis 2, verse 7. And the Lord, power, formed man of the dust of the ground, and breath into his nostrils, the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Alright? So now we got both on how they look according to Scripture. And one of them, verse 27, one of them is a cunning hunter, and one of them was a plain man dwelling in tents. Alright, so with that, I hope you any new listeners were edified, and shalom.